Hotel cleaners, what is the nastiest thing someone has left for you to clean up? I was a front desk manager for a guy who owned 3 motels at the time. Eventually I started working at all 3 locations. 2 were basically next door to each other, and I started living in one of them. They were like small creepy roadside motels you find outside of town and try to avoid. When I started, the owner told me each month when the person in room 1 owed rent, how much it was, and just to take it and give him his mail. One day I actually met the man in room 1. He was mostly blind and by himself, a frail old man. No one came to care for him, but he would stay in his room all day. Sometimes he had the door cracked, but he only came out to pay rent or to stumble over to the gas station a block down in the middle of the night. I would try stop by his room with his mail and things like toilet paper, towels etc. but would get shooed away. The only deliverers were from the liquor store. I worked there for over 1.5 years and saw him maybe 3 to 4 times personally. My boss, who this entire time was in another country, would keep telling my manager and I to leave him alone. Don't even dare bothering him for anything, even after telling him about the complaints of an odor around his room and pests in the room next door. Then suddenly one day, some people, I assume maybe assisted living, came into the office and said Mr. X is now checking out of his room and will no longer be staying here. Gave the key and left. I was confused, so we called the owner and all he cared was that he didn't get paid the last month of rent. So, since he was gone, we got to see the room for the first time in at least 3 years. Needless to say it was uninhabitable, probably forever. The toilet was broken, and shit piled up onto the walls, and piled up in the tub. Piss everywhere, even on the ceiling. Bed bugs, roaches, lice, rats, you name it. All of this was caked into the carpet/flooring, or whatever was left of it, over years and years, or soaked into the drywall. Thick layer of cigarette smoke on every surface. Garbage piled up, piston clothes in the corners of the room. Food bones, booze bottles, cans, cigarette butts and boxes everywhere. I'll spare you all a description of the mattress. I refused to enter it again, and soon after happily left that job. It sickens me to this day to imagine a person living in squalor like this, even in a hotel. Vietnam veteran rented a room, brought a fit ton of pills with him, then tried to kill himself with said pills. His son found out about his plan and called an ambulance, which arrived right in time. The poor old man was so embarrassed he was actually crying, not only for what he was about to do, but for the mess he left behind. See, I didn't know this at the time, but apparently one lesser known side effect of suicide by overdose is puking and fitting everywhere. Disgusting, yeah, but I wasn't angry. I just felt really bad for the guy. I hope he's doing better now. Someone refused to leave the room for an extra day. They left bowls full of cereal and milk which went rancid, made curry in the icebox and hawked into one of the towels on the floor. In the bathtub they left just a large mass of soaking wet towels for some reason. By far the nastiest room I've ever had to clean. I'm so glad I'm not in that industry anymore. Lol what? If you're actually a hotel cleaner then give it time. You'll have much worse stories. That sounds like a regular Wednesday in an American hotel. Mfas leave used tampons that they throw at the ceiling and stick there. Not that I can blame them. That fits hilarious when you see it happen. People fight in beds and leave it. Piss and puke on the walls, floors, but yeah, curdled milk and spit ice bad. Not mine, but I remember in an old thread some dude was talking about how he found a syringe behind his pillow in a hotel room and accidentally pricked his finger on it. Worked at a B&B. Young couple stayed the weekend. King bed, porcelain dolls, typically B&B suite. The number of condoms filled with an odd color excessive amount of fluid was ridiculous. In the middle of the bed, on the floor, on the dolls, sheets, ceiling, that fell while I was cleaning. It was just gross and unnecessary. Anywhere but the garbage can. Top it off, I didn't have anything to wear or use while I was cleaning, all by hand. I didn't really understand how to stick up for myself yet, and the owner was mad it took me forever to clean the room that day. I have already explained to my teen not to let some job put you at risk. You deserve essentials to do the job properly. I used to work in a restaurant attached to the hotel, so I didn't see it directly, but somebody left a huge box of sex toys behind, found under a bed. Staff offered to mail it back, but they were too mortified. Big realistic dildo left in bedside table, clearly used and right there with the Gideon Bible. Period blood and fit in the bathroom. Not just the toilet seat, but somehow walls and sink too. Just why? Okay, so I didn't have to clean it up, but I was training on the 7 AM to 3 PM shift as a front desk clerk, and people were checking out. One on our policies was that if you didn't pay with a credit or debit card, then we had to charge you a $50 deposit for your room that you would get back the next day if your room was not damaged and nothing was missing. When you checked out, a man came to the front desk and wanted to check out, but before he left, we had to check his room. My very Indian manager took me to his room to show me what to look for. Damaged property, stains on the carpet, etc. And as we walked into his room, the smell of clum slapped us in the face like a Karen who just got her butt pinched on the subway. However, despite the smell, we couldn't find stains or obvious damage to room. So, on our way back to the front desk, my manager says, "That smelled like, how you say, shame." It smelled like shame. He only get half his deposit back. When I told the customer he was only getting half his deposit back, he was irritated, but he didn't raise hell about it. I shared this story once before, but there was this old man who booked a room for a week, and that week was freaking terrible. First off, he tried stealing a fake $20 bill off our wall, then tried playing it off like he was grabbing a menu for Chinese. He would constantly ask us if we had food, which we weren't inclined to do, cause the food we have is in our personal kitchen cause we live there. Next, a previous owner shows up helping with some computer work, and this old bastard tried to steal whatever was in his car. We called him out on it, he denied it, but we weren't stupid. So then came the day he was supposed to leave. I was told that they let him know he must either pay or leave. This elderly man had decided to fake a stroke, but we called him an ambulance. He was escorted to a hospital, and then I was called down to clean his room, and what I saw truly makes me gag every time I think about it. Rotten food, cigarette butts, old dirty clothes he left behind, and a torn up bedroom. I was in utter shock. This old man had tore this room up. He even pissed in bottles when there was a working bathroom. So we, as in my sister-in-law and me, decided to get protective gear cause we weren't gonna touch this room barehanded. So we got ready and decided to clean up the rotten food, and the smell truly is the unforgettable part. I'm almost gagging while typing this just thinking on it. It made me cry. Then came the cigs, and those were annoying cause he used his nightstand as an ashtray and got it in our carpet floors, but we were fine. Then his clothes. This guy clothes were terrible. They straight up smelled like pee, and though not as bad as the food, wasn't a pleasant smell either way. After that mess, we decided to hold on to his personal belongings in case he came back for it, and just looking at that bag just gave me a sick feeling in my gut every time it saw. But yeah, that's my story. It's pretty lengthy, but I have nightmares about to this day, so I had to share this story. I left a huge mess. My girl and I booked into a hotel for a WKND. I thought we'd have some fun. I bought a bottle of baby oil, a bottle of chocolate sauce, and a can of whipped cream. We went out, got drunk, and went back for some sexy time. What a mess. There was all of that stuff everywhere. Sheets, towels, pillows, in the shower, just bloody everywhere. Tried to clean up, but was pretty impossible. Felt so bad for the housekeeping. Had a pretty good time though. My grandma was a hotel cleaner, and she found a mountain of condoms on the bed, like 100 of them. Some lady basically lived in one of the rooms for several weeks, never let anyone in the room. Apparently had 500 cats living with her. She left and the room was rank with cat urine for weeks. The room had to be put out of order for so long to get the smell out. This was a Motel 6 and the rooms were all basically outside.